All right, today we're going to be talking about metabolism of living things, and more importantly, how do enzymes play a role in the organism's ability to use energy. Before we get too far into enzymes, we need to take a step back and look at a little bit of like what is energy when we talk about it, because your cell phones use a different kind of energy than your body does. And so energy is just the ability to do work. When we teach physics, we talk about kinetic energy, or the energy of motion, and potential energy, which is stored energy. And so when you go and get and eat a cheeseburger, that is a bunch of chemical stored potential energy sitting in there for your body to break down and produce. All right. Energy and energy consumption is one of the big ideas in biology. Remember, we talked about those factors that determine living things. Energy consumption and metabolism is one of those things. And so we look at the definition of biological systems are going to utilize free energy and molecular building blocks to grow, to reproduce, and to maintain dynamic homeostasis. And so energy is a really big deal with how your body uses it. And so we're going to focus on that a little bit today with our biochemistry. And so what are these things that give us energy, because we cannot create our own? It eventually has traced its way to us from the sun and photosynthesis, and we go through the different laws of thermodynamics where energy can't be created or destroyed. So that same cheeseburger that you had, it has some wheat in the bun that was grown via plants that use photosynthesis to convert sunlight into chemical energy, and it has meat in the form of beef in the patties that were produced by cows that ate that grass and did those different kinds of things. So energy is moving throughout the system, and as it moves, we're going to be losing some energy along the way. That was important when we talked about our food chains and our food webs and energy losses as we go. As humans, as we consume things for energy, we lose energy in the process, but we don't want to lose a ton. All right, our bodies are fueled by that energy, and so we want that to be available to us whenever we need it, and we're not sitting around waiting for it. And we need to be very efficient with that energy consumption. And so, as humans and as all living things we have special proteins in our body called enzymes. What an enzyme is it's a protein molecule that functions as an organic catalyst, meaning something that is going to speed up a reaction that's going to take place in your body. And so we have these enzymes that take your cheeseburger that you ate and in some ways kind of snip it apart or put it back together to make it easier for your body to convert that energy into fuel that you can then use. All right, because you don't have bits of cheeseburger run through your veins. You have glucose, you have glycogen, you have amino acids, and that's thanks to enzymes that are rearranging those things. A couple terms that we need to point out here. Substrate, so reactants in the enzymatic reaction, and so this is what your enzyme attaches to. So enzyme is your protein, the substrate is that molecule it hooks onto, and then the energy of activation, so the energy that's required to cause the reaction. Right? Ideally, for a lot of our reactions, we want a low energy of activation, so it happens very quickly without consuming a lot of calories. So what do those enzymes have on them? Enzymes are made of proteins, so they're different amino acids that are hooked together, and their shape is very important because that's how they hook on to their substrates. Their role in our bodies is to speed up chemical reactions inside your cytoplasm. So you have these enzymes floating around that are making these natural reactions happen much more quickly or at lower temperatures, those kind of things, and so we can have dynamic lives and live off that. You only need a small amount of enzymes. They remain unchanged after the reaction, so they can be used again and again and again and again. And then each enzyme is specific for a particular substrate. For example, you have lactase in your bloodstream. Well, a lot of us do. That's able to break down the lactose, that is the sugar that's found in milk. If anyone there is lactose intolerant, that means that your enzymes, lactase enzymes are either non-existent or more likely they're slightly deformed or they have a mutation so they can't break that sugar down as easily, and so that sugar runs through your body and it creates an upset stomach because you're not snipping it apart correctly at the time that is meant to be broken down. So as we look at when I talk about those fits, it is like an actual fit here. As we look, we have this model for our best hypothesis on how these enzymes work, and that's the induced fit model, where they physically combined with that enzyme, and either they're built together or they're torn apart. That's where we get degradation, so breaking down, and synthesis, building different molecules. And the big thing is, what is it doing for us? Is it's looking at something like this. And so we look at those factors that can affect enzymatic speed, and either it can have that reaction happen at lower temperatures, or it can happen at optimum pH and those kind of things, and so they can operate at those ideal conditions. Now, lastly here, there are a few other things that affect our enzymes, and we're going to be looking at that more in our next lesson here. But there are inhibitors that we find in the body, or that we sometimes consume, that block enzyme function. And then we have a variety of environmental factors, such as pH and temperature, two that I already mentioned, that are going to play a role in enzyme functionality as we go there. So just the basics there on enzymes, kind of what they're made out of, how they help your body, and why they're essential to all living things. Check out our lab where we're looking at liver cells and how they're affected by a variety of environmental conditions. And check out below to continue following along with our biology lessons.